Hey, thanks, Paul. Again, to reiterate what Paul shared, thanks for being here on Labor Day. Greatly appreciate it, and look forward to a big week of learning and growing for our squad. Rewinding back, players of the game, Clayton Thorson was our offensive player of the game. I thought he had an outstanding game. If you include the 4 or 5 drops that we had, he's probably sitting somewhere, 33, 32, 33 for 38. That's a pretty good day. By anybody's stretch. So we got to play better on the perimeter for him. But I thought he threw it really well. Macon Wilson was our offensive big playmaker. The 2 big explosion pass plays. Tyler Lancaster was our defensive player of the game, was very active inside. Kyle Cairo was our big playmaker with that huge red zone interception, was 5 for 5 at the point of attack. And then our practice players of the week, Nick Urban, Mo El Masri was our defensive player of the week, and Joe Bergen on special teams. You had a lot of guys get their first opportunities to get out in the arena. I think they'll learn a ton from the video we watched this morning, and I expect them all to improve as the week goes along. So that'll be a fun challenge for us. And then, it's going to be a tough road trip. You have so much respect for David Cutcliffe, his staff. They're young men. We've played each other now a number of times, and David and I are both AFCA board members. We spent a lot of time together. He's a great friend and just a terrific football coach, and I've got a ton of respect for him and just really impressed with the way they played in the opener. I thought they were really efficient in all 3 phases. Schematically, they're very, very sound. They have great complements to their base stuff. Obviously their guys execute fundamentally very well and play very hard. So going to be a great challenge for us. Last time we were down there, it was a very difficult game, and we were fortunate to find a way to win. So with that, how about some questions?
Said that your team went as your offensive line went. What did you learn about your O-line this week?
We're a work in progress. We had some guys I thought played well, and then we had some other guys that played inconsistent. So I think it was kind of our offensive line play was very similar to the play of our whole football team. There were some really, really good and some areas that we really got to improve.
Pat, can you update the corners who went out in the game in the second half Saturday?
Yeah, they're doing great. Yeah, they're doing great. But they'll both be day to day, and we'll make decisions as we get closer to game day.
Pat, what's the next level for Clayton after? He's just been so consistent; it keeps on rising.
I think just continuing to improve. You looked, maybe the obviously the pick he'd love to have back. Guy kind of hit his arm as he was throwing it and released it. A little weird, and we got to get rid of that. That was a big play. Our defense really rose up, and holding the 3 was key in the game, especially at that point. I think he really was smart with the football the rest of the day. I think he was calculated when he took his shots. I think he got the ball out of his hands quickly. Duke is going to present a lot of problems schematically. They overload blitz you. They max blitz you. When you include 2-man, they're sitting somewhere right around 50% man-to-man coverage. So, similar to some things that we see from some of our other opponents in the Big Ten. So, he's going to have his challenge without a doubt this week. And those guys on the perimeter have got to step up for him. I think this game will be big for him. The last time we went down to Duke, really didn't play well. Again, it was, I think, his second college start, right? But, and his first road start, I believe. But I'm sure he'll have a little extra sense of urgency with the way that, he played the last time we were down there.
Hey, Coach, you said the offensive line work in progress, obviously. Do you foresee the position shuffling? Is that going to continue now that you're in season? Are you still playing with that, or are they more solid now?
Oh, we're not playing with anything, Lou. We're trying to win. There's no plan. There's, again, when guys are close, regardless of position, we're going to rotate them. When there's clear separation of a starter, then he starts and plays, a majority of the reps. So there's no playing there. It's just reality. And no one has separated themselves per se at a lot of the different positions. I think Brad had a solid game. I think Tommy was a little bit below his standard. I think we started 2 rookie tackles and include Gunner in there. And then you talk Blake first time at guard. All in all, it wasn't great, but for their first time kind of being out there, had over 500 yards, didn't we? Yeah, it's not bad. But I guess, I don't know. I guess we stinks, so we'll just we'll continue to stink Sombrano. Yeah. They'll get better.
How do you evaluate your new specialists who played on Saturday? Long snap, kick.
Yeah, new long snapper, new holder, new kicker. Yeah, new kickoff specialist. Right, new kickoff return man. We had a lot of new. Wow. I watched. I get a lot of edit tapes. Zach Opsler, our special teams coordinator, puts together an edit tape for me from the weekend, and we didn't end up on that on the blooper tape, so I was pretty happy about that. There was a lot of bloopers throughout Big Ten play. I think a lot of good for Charlie. I mean, I got it. I thought he struck the ball well, even in the miss, he struck it well. Fundamentally, you and I both play golf. He's just got to get more consistent with his eyes. He picks his eyes up a little bit too quick after his swing, which gives you a tendency to keep things off to the right as a right-footed kicker. And so he's got to get more consistent there, which I know he'll work at. I thought Hunter held it well. I thought Tyler snapped it outstanding. He was 8 for 8 in his first time out the gate. Was really active in the punt game. And then, I thought Luke kicked the ball really well. We got to be better in the kickoff return game in front of John. I think it was John's first time out there. I think he'll get better. He'll definitely get better returning kicks. But a lot of new there. They'll just kind of a theme across the board. A lot of guys getting their first opportunities. Now that excuse is over. Time to start performing. Time to start performing fundamentally and schematically.
Macon Wilson, his progression kind of bided his time and had a big jump from last year to this year just in game one.
Yeah, again, I think he's got great trust with Clayton. I think those guys have played a lot of football, and it's not just practice. It's over the summer when they're doing things. And, I think Clayton obviously showing both those throws that he made, I think really trusts, what Macon is going to do. So impressed to watch that, and hopefully that'll continue to progress.
Excuse me.
Very good.
Sam moving from inside to outside. What prompted that move?
Sam.
Miller.
Uh,
Hadn't he been playing tackle through camp?
no. Mm-mm. No, he's been playing where he was at.
He'd been
practice.
playing then?
Yeah.
My
We don't
bad.
talk about practice though, Skip. So talk about the games. Iverson. This is an education session for you students.
Okay.
This is
But
good stuff.
when we talked about Fred being out there, White being out there,
Uh-huh.
and we talked to Marty, he talked about having the big guys on the edge to hold the edge.
Mhm.
And now you got Sam out there at 260 instead of Fred's 280. Is that, does he play a different type of end than Fred does?
Yeah, I mean, again, Skip, I'm not going to give away trade secrets on things that we do and why we do them. Okay. But we're going to play all those guys up there. They all have different roles for different situations of the game. And then every rep of every practice is a competition. So I put out a chart on today, but that could change after tomorrow's practice. I mean, that's that. I said that last week. If you're going to hold me, especially with where we're at with so many young guys we're playing, every rep of every practice counts, and it doesn't just matter what happens in the previous game. So if you're going to write articles about starting groups, you're wasting your time. It is a very fluid situation until guys separate themselves. Clayton Thorson will be our quarterback. Not that Matt Alavidi's doing a bad job. Matt has had a great camp, but right now Justin's our tailback. And the rest away we go. Godwin will play. Tyler will play.
And just from a player's mentality, a player like Garrett, who has had to wait his turn to be more integral part of the offense, how hard is that for a player to go through that waiting process?
Well, I think patience is a virtue as an athlete, but he's been a big part of what we've done. He maybe didn't have the stats, but nobody else had the stats last year besides Austin. So it's a little skewed. But there were a lot of big situations that Garrett, got the ball a year ago. And so I believe he and Clayton have great confidence and trust in each other. And, I think, again, it showed on Saturday. And then it comes back also to matchups in certain situations. I think Clayton liked his matchup that he had with G on a handful of occasions on Saturday. And, he's got to catch a couple of those throws, too. I thought those were good passes. Those passes were needed to be caught.
Yeah, is this the deepest group you've ever had at receiver in your time, you think?
I think this might be the most we're playing. We've only played one game, so usually that type of statement is looked in the rear after we've gone through the whole season. You can look back and say, wow, we had a lot of production from a lot of guys. But right now, again, without maybe a huge separation in the groups, I think we're playing as many guys as we've ever played. Yeah, and I think that's encouraging not only for now but also for the future. We're pretty young, pretty young out there. So those guys are playing hard. I got to play better in the kicking game. But they're playing hard, at least at wide receiver, but we got to get them more consistent in the kicking game.
Is there a facet of Duke's game or a position group or something along those lines that stands out to you as something that you need to put extra emphasis on this week?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, schematically in all three phases, I think they're outstanding, and the same thing fundamentally. I was impressed getting ready for Daniel Jones a year ago, and now you look at all the video from the whole season and even the way he played last week. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. I mean, just absolutely terrific. I think the running backs are really, really explosive. Up front, they're real physical, and on the perimeter, they've got really good speed and athleticism. And it shows up not only on offense, but it also shows up in their kicking game and how they do different things to get the ball quickly on the perimeter. Linebacker-wise, I love both those guys. I love the way they play. I think Giles Harris and Humphreys, we've seen them now for multiple years, but they fly around. They're very, very active. Fields had 2 picks. They were both pick 6, but one got called back, which was a tough call, I thought, watching that play. And I think their secondary is really great. But I thought getting ready for them for the first year we played them a number of years ago, what jumped out to me the most was their kicking game. I thought they were outstanding in the kicking game. I thought again, schematically very sound, but more importantly, they just played really hard, executed, and played really, really well fundamentally. So I think we're going to have to start a lot faster than we did last week and put 3 phases together for 4 quarters. That won't be a different theme any week, but especially against a team as well coached as the Blue Devils are.
When you play David, do you ever think back to when you played him as a player?
Quite frankly, when you're a player, you have no idea who the assistant coaches are. Yeah, I mean, I was worried about getting to class at CESP on time. You maybe knew who the head coach was. I mean, maybe. You remember, there was only like 2 games on TV back then. Everybody knew who Joe Pa was, and stuff like that. But, week to week, I don't know if you really knew who you were playing against coaching-wise. And I don't know. You can ask the guys. Maybe I doubt they even know now. Where is that at? Tennessee? This guy named Fulmer? Philip Fulmer? Pretty good. Yeah. Hall of Famer. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, great. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. Have a great holiday. Okay, thanks. Go Cats.